Welcome to GrayGhost Indy Wrestling Memories number 5. More of the Gray legend in his own mind. Independent Wrestling Memories. And today I'm going to do a short video for Volume 5, which is going to focus on one very famous evening. You know, my friends Barry Moore and Marissa, or Toots as I used to call her, we went up to a show a few years ago in Webster, Mass. Called PWF Northeast. Now, PWF was run ostensibly by Matt and Kyle Storm and featured some excellent independent talent from the Northeast and New England area. And of course, at times they brought in some stars. Well, this particular night, I saw two names that I had to catch. Now, I have caught a lot of guys, a lot of WWE, ex-WWE stars, guys that are currently in WWE or Impact or Ring of Honor. And I've met a lot of guys at shows, which I've touched upon in other videos, and I will touch upon again in future videos. Well, in this particular show, they were advertising the great Harley Race, I believe 7-time world champion or thereabouts with the National Wrestling Alliance, former King of the Ring in WWF. It was kind of his low point as his career wound down, in my opinion. And Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. And Ricky, of course, in many people's eyes, has probably the greatest, or one of the greatest matches ever at WrestleMania. That was WrestleMania 3 for the Intercontinental Championship in the Pontiac Silverdome against Macho Man Randy Savage. And of course, legendary matches with Ric Flair and so many others. Well, anyways, so I ended up to Webster, Mass, which is about an hour and 20 minutes from where I lived in Manchester, Connecticut. And it turns out that the King was going to be involved as a manager in the championship match, which I believe was Kid Crazy against Johnny Curtis. Now, Johnny Curtis has gone on to the WWE as Fandango. And I used to have some very interesting memories of Johnny Curtis on the independent scene. Johnny was a regular on the New England independent scene, and he always used to do a move off the top rope where he would jump off the top rope and land bad. So the man was always favoring a bad leg in the entire match, and he must have done this, I don't know, 30, 40 times I've seen him. But anyways, he was fighting Kid Crazy for the PWF Northeast title, and Ricky Steamboat was the referee. And it was just so much fun, you know, seeing the legends, really having a good time. But a couple of things really stood out about that show, that 3 items that I can remember. Well, actually, 4 items. Number 1 in that particular show, and I'll go in no particular order, but I will save the best for last. And guys like, as I say, my friend Barry and others are going to remember this and get a kick out of it. I remember number 1 was independent star from Connecticut Nocturne giving me his glove, which at that time I thought was a big deal. You know, even though I'm older, it's still cool stuff. Number 2, there was a feud going on between, in the New England Independents, between Ebony Blade and TJ Wilde, the guy who went by the name of TJ Wilde. Now, Wilde wasn't really a wrestler. Well, stupidly, he challenged Ebony Blade, the son of a preacher man. He's the son of a preacher man. He was. And one of the greatest, Ebony Blade, one of the most classy gentlemen in the New England indie history. Well, anyways, Wilde shot his mouth off and eventually got about 36 suplexes for his trouble. And hey, that couldn't have happened to a better guy. But the other 2 things to wrap up this very memorable evening the show itself was good, but there was one match, there was a shackles match, and it was so bad. Something had to happen, and then you were allowed to get the shackles unlocked. And it was so bad, nobody knew the rules. I don't even think the wrestlers knew the rules. And it was just, I guess it's hard for me to explain it on the video because you had to be there to see it. It was just incredibly ridiculous. It was a match that made the Punjabi prison match look like a 60-minute Iron Man match. It was probably the worst concept for a match I ever saw. But it was such an entertaining night, we could overlook that very, very much. And the funniest thing for that show and why it makes a memory for me is, during the intermission, Harley Race and Rick Steamboat were signing autographs. Now, of course, these guys are legends. I mean, there is not a single wrestling fan alive, independent wrestling, major promotion wrestling, anyone that cannot admit the legendary status of these two guys. Well, it's $5 an autograph, and I'm like, okay. I got Harley Race's autograph. I even remember the picture. Harley was pressing Ric Flair over his head, and he signed to Harley Race. And unfortunately, over the years, my autograph album, which was a big part of my life on independent wrestling, with a lot of my indie stars and some WWE and etc. stars that were appearing on indie shows, has been misplaced. And Ricky Steamboat, here's the moment, the capper. I may have touched on this in a prior video, but I was really hungry, and they had some pretty good food at the show. And they had chicken nuggets, chicken nuggets with fries. And there were these nuggets called Buffalo Nuggets. Now, those of you that know buffalo chicken or eat buffalo chicken know it's a spicy food with blue cheese flavor, and it can be very spicy. And unfortunately, I was eating them when I went up in line to get Ricky Steamboat's autograph, and I put the little box behind my back, and I always remember the Dragon, here's a guy who had some of the greatest matches of all time, and he looks at me when he's signing my picture. How are you, sir? Good to meet you. What in the hell is that smell? What the hell is that smell? And it's really funny because it was such a thrill to meet Ricky Steamboat, and the funniest thing is when we reminisce, the one thing we remember are Buffalo Nuggets. Okay, listen, I'm going to take off for now. I hope you enjoyed this Wrestling Indie Memories Volume 5. There will be more ruminations on the next video, including touching on a tragic moment in the aftermath of something that happened in 2005 on my next video, and the controversy attached to that event, and really a lesson that hopefully so many people learned out of it. You have a great day, and God bless, and thanks for watching. Please share and comment. Take care, and keep in mind, Hell in a Cell, the Gray Ghost, one-on-one with, let's see, I don't know. You decide. Who should I take on one-on-one? Those of you on Facebook, make a comment. Who would you like to see the Gray Ghost in Hell in a Cell with one-on-one? God bless.